So right off the bat, if we're going to talk about health freedom, let's define those. What is health? I am going to suggest that we take a holistic view of health for this, because that's really what it amounts to. And it includes, physical, biological, social, spiritual, financial, and psychological and intellectual well-being, all of these things in concert. It's not just the absence of some kind of disease or infirmity. And so when we talk about health and health freedom, we're going to speak to all of these different arenas, since they're all actually components of a healthy life experience. So in terms of health freedom, I'm going to suggest that that means when we own our bodies and can determine if and when we want to take something and what we want to do with our bodies, also in all of these areas. So, shorthand, I think self-knowing is health and self-owning is freedom. So bringing those together, the gist of this is that health requires a state of balance among these different facets, as well as balance internally with our tissues and organs, and sort of achieving a state of resonance inside and out is the optimum health achievement. And in order to have balance, we need to have feedback. We need to know, are we in balance or are we not? And of course, there are natural ways to get that feedback. We can know how are we feeling? What's our stress level? Are we sleeping well? But there are also far more refined ways to get the feedback in very real time, quickly. And that brings us to the world of data, and particular biodata, which is a very significant term to come to terms with and to be familiar with in exploring health and health freedom these days. So biodata is the data which gives us feedback on our bodies in order to achieve the highest level of health and balance. And in order to achieve this, it includes a lot of different industries, technology industries, nanotech, biotech, information tech, and cognitive science. So the acronym of that is NBIC, and in this world, it's known as convergence. And that's a key word. I'm going to point out some, like, this has to skip along the top, obviously. There's a lot that I can't get into here and a lot that I don't even know yet. But I will call out a few times to say, pay attention to this word, because if you go further in this yourselves, you'll recognize these words, and especially how they are being used now from almost every sector of human endeavor. So convergence is one of those words. The National Science Foundation published a major report called Converging Technologies for Improving Human Performance. And it touches on all the areas that we have identified are a part of health, and essentially sets up what's known as the Internet of Bodies. So the Internet of Bodies is an extension of the Internet of Things, and basically connects the human body to a network through devices that are ingested, implanted, or connected to the body in some way. And once connected, the data can be exchanged, and the body and the device can be remotely monitored and controlled. So these, we experience these now in terms of wearables. You can have your Apple Watch to track things, and the data is sent back, and Apple does all kinds of things with that. Anyway, emerging out of this Internet of Bodies is what's called precision health. And the goal of precision health is to measure all kinds of feedbacks from our organs and tissues and our emotions, and act on them as fast as the information comes in, so that the interventions can be tailored to each of us, customized, rather than using the same approach for everyone. This has tremendous advantage. We talked about it in Thrive 2 in terms of brainwave biofeedback in real time, so that you actually learn to feel what that brainwave state feels like and can get there on your own. Certainly, people use it with heart rate all the time, and I know it's used for tremendous advantage just at its basic levels with diabetics, where now their insulin levels can be tracked in real time so that the insulin is given in accord with their actual needs. And my dad had juvenile diabetes, so I grew up with him taking shots twice a day and noticing there were a lot of problems with that sort of generic application. So clearly there are big advantages to real-time feedback and intervention. And it's incomplete not to acknowledge those advantages. They're a very important part of the conversation, as are the risks associated with all this data gathering. So in addition to our tissues and organs, of course, there's also behavioral feedback. How many steps did you take? How many calories did you eat? Or more recently, were you exposed to somebody who tested negative for COVID, for example? Those are the more kind of behaviorally oriented feedback systems that we can just cursorily be aware of. Really, you can't talk about modern health without talking about biodata. And engaging this Internet of Bodies and gathering biodata, of course, engages people from all different fields and industries, because you've got tech industries, like we said, computer science industries, medical industries. It's a whole confluence of industries, and it leads to really the best way to describe it is in terms of something called technocracy. So technocracy is let's see, the control of society or industry by an elite, by having self-appointed technical experts. And it comes from Greek, skilled rule. And so what happens is you have experts from these different fields defining terms and policies, even if they're not, like, you could have a tech expert talking about a medical intervention, for example, as clearly we have today. So that's technocracy. It actually was first coined in 1919. A guy, Smith, termed it to mean control of a society or an industry by an elite group of technical experts. And it became most widely sort of known as a movement during the Great Depression. And I have to say, technocracy and understanding that is really a doorway into the whole next level of red pill, and understanding the worldview of those who are, at the helm of the technocratic sort of evolution of things. It really helps us to understand their worldview in order to be both more predictive and more leveraged in our response, and create sort of a strategic opportunity for us.